Welcome to the Wellness Made Easy podcast. Hi, I'm Larry Logsdon, and I'm here to help you discover natural solutions to everyday health challenges. Did you know that getting poor sleep impacts everything from your immune system to your energy levels? It's true. And today, our episode is from February of 2024. And this episode, we discuss how to improve your sleep quality naturally, avoid risky sleep aids, and wake up feeling your best. The question I ask you is, can Noni Juice help get you some better sleep? Well, it sure can, and I know you're going to have a great time. Enjoy the show.
Welcome everyone to this hour of the Dr. Bob Martin Show. I'm Dr. Bob. We've got a special guest coming up on the program today, and we're going to be talking about the subject of sleep. I know a lot of you are saying, well, I sleep fine, I'm okay. Well, let me tell you, Americans don't sleep well. And without sleep, the body and mind break down big time. Everyone is aware that sleep is essential for our well-being, and a good night's sleep can make all the difference in how we feel, function, and perform the next day. We know that. You've been there before. Unfortunately, many people struggle with falling asleep and staying asleep. It can be a major problem and can lead to fatigue. It can lead to depression. It can lead to anxiety, poor attention span, irritability. What else? A weakened immune system, and many other problems can happen as a result of loss of sleep. You know, if you take pharmaceutical drugs like sleeping pills or over the counter, whether it's prescription or over the counter, please allow me to name some of the names that you might recognize that people are taking to help them sleep. Ativan, Halcyon, Restoril, Klonopin, Unisom, Valium, Lunesta, Tylenol PM, which is really acetaminophen with diphenhydramine in it, to help alleviate insomnia. That's what people do. That's what because it'll drive you crazy if you don't sleep. And unfortunately, when you don't sleep, you are putting yourself at serious risk of all kinds of problems, including cancer and even dying, because sleep is so important. And taking these drugs can put you at a great risk as well. In fact, a study published in the British medical journal Open, an open access journal that is part of the British Medical Journal family of publications, suggests that patients who take various types of sleep drugs, either over-the-counter or prescription drugs like benzodiazepines or non-benzodiazepines or barbiturates or sedatives like antihistamines for insomnia, are at a 400% more likely to die on average within 2.5 years than those who do not take these drugs. And besides having an increased risk of suffering sudden death, sleeping pill users were also found to have roughly a 35% elevated risk of developing cancer compared to non-users as well. Additionally, researchers found that patients who took sleep-induced drugs, or sleeping pills between 15 to 30 days had a 53% higher odds of suffering a hip fracture than those who did not take the drugs. That is scary, folks. My wife's grandmothers, both of them, died from hip fractures. Probably were on sleep drugs. But alas, there is hope, ladies and gentlemen. I'm optimistic. There are many drug-free solutions to insomnia and better sleep challenges. Now, I invited a special guest to join us to discuss the topic of sleep and what you can do to help get better sleep drug-free. We'll introduce you to him in just a little bit. You're tuned into the Dr. Bob Martin Show here on KTAR News. So we've asked an expert on this topic to join us to discuss it. His name is Larry Logsdon. He's a functional food researcher specializing in medicinal properties of fruits and the benefits of exotic fruits and their effect on the human body. Larry founded Tahiti Trader Noni Juice in 1998. I invited him to be a guest on the program today to discuss the topic of sleep and the options that consumers may have in that arena that are drug-free, that are safe and effective, that are science-based. And with that, let us welcome back to the program Larry Logsdon. Good day to you, Larry.
Good morning, Dr. Bob. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well, and I'm glad you broke away from, this Super Bowl frenzy that everybody's thinking about today because it's Super Bowl Sunday. And everybody's focused in on that, and they may have even lost sleep over it. They'll certainly lose sleep tonight, especially depending on how they treat their bodies today during the Super Bowl game. But
absolutely,
that's a whole other deal. But I want to help people out today. And I asked you to come on the show today to give some opportunity for those people who may be thinking, I don't know if these sleeping pills I'm taking over the counter are all that good for me. And I wish I could sleep without them. And I wish I could take, get rid of the prescription drugs. And we're not going to recommend anybody stop drugs, whether it's prescription or over the counter. That's something they have to decide on, or with their doctor or their pharmacist. However, what I've asked you to come on the program to do is to provide some information that people can wrap their brains around, and also, be optimistic, forward wise, that there is something they can do to help themselves sleep. So let's begin there. What is the data showing to you with respect to how many Americans are actually having sleep challenges? What's the number?
Well, topically, it looks like 1 in 3 Americans are suffering from some sort of sleep deprivation, getting less than 7 hours per night. But that's really conservative, because most people, when asked that question, don't answer it, honestly. The researchers dig a little deeper, and they found out that clearly more than 43% of the population get less than 6 hours of sleep a night. So it's a pretty big deal.
Are you saying what's the optimal zone there? What's the sweet spot of sleep? You're talking about 7+ hours of sleep. Is that what I gather here?
I think the best number is 7 to 8 hours of rest is really what your body needs in order for it to do what it needs to recharge and revitalize and get you all set for the next day.
Okay, what about those people who brag about, hey, I don't need much sleep. I get 3 to 4 hours of sleep. I remember when former President Donald Trump used to brag about that all the time. I don't need sleep. I function on 3 to 4 hours of sleep a day. What about people like that?
I can't answer that one, Bob. I do not understand how that some people do that. It's very beyond me. But those are the same type of people that meditate regularly, and so they do get a sort of rest, but it isn't in the same way that you and I might lay down in the bed, turn off the lights, and get some real sleep. They do it a different way.
Former President Trump meditating. I'd like to see that one, but that's a whole other deal. Okay, so a breakdown, if you would, Larry, to our listeners. What happens to our health if our sleep cycle is broken for more? Everybody's going to lose sleep once in a while, 1 or 2 nights here, or whatever, occasionally. But what happens when people are chronically, sleep deprived or losing sleep, and what happens to their health in general?
Well, usually these people are suffering from some sort of stress or anxiety, which is what's keeping them up, which is the very first problem. And that throws off your dopamine to serotonin balance, which is why you're not sleeping. But this leads to chronic inflammation. And then that creates pain problems, like in the joints and so on. And then pretty soon it's a full-blown inflammation nightmare.
So you're saying that stuff begins between our ears. We start worrying about stuff. We start fretting about stuff. We get stressed over it. And that sets into motion the whole cascade of these hormones getting thrown off, these neural hormones. And then from there, the inflammation sets in. It's just a tailspin, I take it.
It is. In fact, they found that 50 to 90% of people reporting insomnia, also the same people that had chronic inflammation.
Interesting. What changes then? What changes do you recommend people make to help improve sleep quality and quantity? And I mean, I'm talking about, little things that they can get started on today to help themselves out, Larry.
Well, the first thing I would suggest doing, meditating in order to release yourself from stress. That's a great thing to do.
Yep.
But the thing about it is we need to understand that inflammation is It's brought on by yourself usually, and unless you've had some sort of injury. But inflammation is your problem. We want to take care of that. You need the right kinds of foods in your diet, and you need enough rest in order to tame these things. But what the problem is that this sets up another problem in your gut. And the gut is what creates all of the balance in your body. It's what your immune system resides down in there. And most people don't give it time enough to let it repair.
Larry, are you an advocate of people modifying their room temperature and the noise in their bedding, or looking at, light coming in? Because I've discussed this on the show before. These are all things that, people can do immediately to sleep better, that are the little things that they may not have considered. Is there like a list of those things that you have?
Well, the list is fairly simple. A cool bedroom, dark, and that already sets up for better sleep. I believe the temperature has to be 68 or so or below for really restful sleep to come on. Warm temperatures really don't work, and I can tell you that's why I'm not living in Phoenix. It's just a little warm sometimes.
That's called air conditioners, Larry.
Yes, that's true.
Jeez. Okay, what about caffeine? Caffeine and blue light exposure from, TikToking and text messaging and surfing all night long.
I turn off the TV at 6 o'clock. It's not on. We don't look at any more cell phones or iPads and all that blue light, which it actually stimulates you to stay awake. Yep. So you want to turn off all that kind of outside stuff and quiet down so your body can wind down and you can then have some rest at time. But, so many of us are trying to push and get a little more out. And they say, well, I just got a little more reading to do. Cut it off and let your body rest. Tomorrow will be a much better day. No question about it. Our special guest is Larry Logsdon. He is a researcher in the exotic fruits arena and also the founder of Tahiti Trader Noni Juices. We're going to talk about some natural ways that you can increase. He discussed it just momentarily there, serotonin and melatonin, and how the gut plays a role in our initiation of sleep. And I want to get into that further. We're going to take a break, however, and come back to do that. Stay with us. You're tuned into the Dr. Bob Martin Show here on KTAR News. All right, if you're just tuning into the program, the topic is sleep. And without good sleep, our bodies and our minds break down big time. And the natural inclination for a lot of Americans when they're not sleeping is to take drugs because they don't know anything else. That's their orientation because they see commercials all day long about it. And somebody else is taking them, and their parents may be taking their friends, their brothers, their sisters. And somebody says, well, maybe you should take some Tylenol PM, which is acetaminophen, which if you take that long enough, it'll turn your liver into soup. It's toxic. And then you have also in there something that knocks you out, basically, diphenhydramine. And every single one of these drugs, I don't care what it is, Lunesta, Valium, Ativan, Halcion, Restorol, Unison, they all have potential adverse side effects. A study published in the British Medical Journal, open access journal, that is part of the British Medical Journal family of publications, suggests that patients who take these various drugs that I just mentioned for insomnia are at least 400 times more likely to die on average within 2.5 years than those who do not take the drugs. Plus, we see in the news studies that if you take these things for a period of time, you're leaving yourself big time susceptible to hip fracture due to a fall because people are on like rubber leg street and they don't know what to do. And especially it's harmful to elderly people who take these drugs. So we're giving you some options. Larry Logsdon, our special guest, has already provided some good information. He's a functional food researcher. He's already given some good information on what you can do personally to help improve your sleep. Let's get back to that conversation now, however. Larry, let's jump on this further if we can. Sure. And talk about, you mentioned stress. Stress is a big factor here. And, of course, a lot of people are stressed. They're angry, they're anxious, they're worrying, they're depressed. And then that, I guess, plays a role in how
these brain chemistries like serotonin and melatonin. Can you tell us how serotonin, how it plays a role in sleep and what people can do to help this area out?
Well, serotonin, Dr. Bob, is the master hormone in your body, controls all bodily functions. 90% of it or more is created in your gut. So when you worry, you upset the gut microbiome and you're not producing very much of it. And without serotonin, you're not going to get melatonin in the correct quantities. So you're going to find yourself needing sleep and aid in getting some sleep. So the best thing I know to do is to stop worrying, but not everybody's able to do that.
Right.
But if you were to really look for a solution, believe it or not, something natural, Noni Juice, an amazing natural juice product from the noni fruit, which produces its own serotonin and reestablishes your gut microbiome. So all of a sudden you start sleeping like a baby. And it's really amazing. In fact, I think we have an interview of one of our users who called me up to tell me all about his story. And he's an older fellow. I think he's in his middle 70s. And he just was on all kind of drugs. And he started on it. And oh, my gosh, what a difference he found.
Oh, yes. I'm going to go ahead. Share, if you have that cut, I want to play that to our audience. His name is Randy. He is a actual doctor himself. He's a psychologist. And he was under the care of a psychiatrist getting sleep drugs for sleep deprivation. And go ahead and play that tape now.
Well, hey, Randy, it's Larry over at Tahiti Trader. Girls tell me that you're enjoying the Noni Juice and you're noticing some improvements.
Well, the big thing was not sleeping well. But I noticed that it really helped me. I'm an over-exerciser. My muscles are pretty sore before I go to bed at night. And my qualities of Noni Juice being anti-inflammatory, which reduce the soreness that I had in my body, except for me, in terms of being able to get to sleep. And it's kind of like all I can say is it's working for me.
Is that okay? So, Larry, it seems too simple for some people because they're going to go, wait a minute, if a fruit juice, sleep, and I have to take an over-the-counter prescription drug, sounds too simple. What is the science on that, Larry?
Well, the science behind it all is this. Noni helps your body produce serotonin. It actually has got chemical compounds in it that do that in your gut. So all of a sudden you start getting normalized in your gut. You're producing the right amount of serotonin, which is going to do all the balancing that your body needs to find what it needs to get well. Your body wants to heal itself, and you just have to allow it the tools to do so. Now you say, well, how come that's not in the foods I eat every day? Well, the foods you eat every day are depleted. Honestly and truly, in 1924, the Congress declared that the farmlands were 50% depleted way back then. Why do you think it's not working? The solution, being that you can't get that from your foods like you'd like, it's simple. Noni Juice. And when you drink it, you feel it. And when you use it regularly, all these problems go bye-bye.
All right, our friend is with us, Larry Logsdon, talking about how to get a better night's sleep in a number of ways. Here's another tool right there to drink your way to better sleep. You can find Tahiti Trader Noni Juice at stores throughout the Phoenix metropolitan area. GNC carries it, Sprouts Farmers Markets, Whole Foods. You can also go to their website for more information at TahitiTrader.com, TahitiTrader.com, or Monday. Feel free to call the company directly for further information. Their toll-free number, 800-842-5309, 800-842-5309, TahitiTrader.com, or when you're out shopping looking for the Noni Juice to drink it so that you can get a better night's sleep and maybe hopefully extricate yourself from these risky pharmaceutical drugs, both prescription and non-prescription. We're not telling you to stop them, by the way. That's something you'll have to decide along with your pharmacist or your doctor's supervision. We're not saying that. We're just saying, look, if there's an option and you can modify your behavior and you can change your bedroom conditions and not drink so much alcohol and caffeine and worry, and drink something as simple and inexpensive as Noni Juice. If you haven't had it, there's a couple different kinds, and we're going to talk about that when we come back from this break, and the cost and all that. So stay tuned. You're tuned into the Dr. Bob Martin Show here on KTAR News. About the topic of sleep and how important that is. Larry, welcome back to the program. Let's revisit this situation with Noni. Some people's orientation with getting better sleep, and I think the people can, understand getting the noise out of the bedroom and changing up the temperature and maybe the bedding and not drinking as much alcohol and caffeine. But the connection between that and drinking fruit juice, of all things, to improve sleep quality or sleep quantity is a whole nother thing. So I want people to understand that there's a connection between drinking the Noni Juice and improving serotonin and melatonin, but it also is about inflammation, is it not? Reducing inflammation. And if you're hurting less at night, you're going to sleep better throughout the night, correct?
That's right. Noni also helps to reduce the COX-2 enzyme, which is the inflammation marker. And you'll find when you drink our Noni Juice, you'll feel better right now. Seriously, folks, there's very few products around that you can put in your body that you can feel. There's only a few. And one of them is Tahiti Trader Noni Juice. And we have two different formulas. We have the original island style, which is fermented. It is not the greatest tasting product you ever put in your mouth because it's fermented. It's got like a vinegar taste to it. It has all the fruit solids in it. You'll love the way it works, though. And our other product is our original high-potency Noni Juice, blended with blueberry and raspberry, and it's delicious. And either one, but if you start with the blended product, you'll enjoy the feeling right away, and we can bring you into the island style over time.
Yeah, I don't
notice the difference.
I don't think the island style is that bad. I put it in my smoothie. I don't even notice it's there. It's not a big deal. So, folks, Tahiti Trader Noni Juice, either island style or their flavored blueberry. Delicious either way. Any possible adverse side effects of people drinking Noni Juice? I need to get that out there, Larry.
Yes, you're going to feel better.
I said adverse side effects. I meant.
Okay.
Remember, you can also find Tahiti Trader Noni Juice at GNC stores throughout the valley, Sprouts Farmers Markets, Whole Foods, or their website for more information at TahitiTrader.com. Larry Logsdon, thank you so very much, sir, for joining us here on the show. Good to talk to you. Look forward to talking to you in the near future.
Thank you for tuning into the Wellness Made Easy podcast. Don't forget to follow up on our social media for more tips and insights, or just visit TahitiTrader.com to explore natural solutions for your health. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you next time.